Hello and welcome to VMware. I'm Brian Watrous. This is the final video in a video series in which I'm demonstrating how to deploy a VMware vRealize Operations 6.6 cluster. In the previous two videos I've shown how to deploy the master node and two data nodes, and in this final video I'm going to be demonstrating how to configure those three nodes together into a single VMware vRealize Operations cluster that's configured for high availability purposes. Now that we have all three nodes configured and clustered together, we will enable the high availability functionality of the cluster. To do so, we'll go to the Enable button, we'll click the Enable button, and the list of machines that you see here is a list of all the data nodes. Now, previously when we deployed those data nodes, I mentioned that we didn't have a choice at that point to specify which one is the master replica in our cluster. This is the screen where you specify which node is the master replica. So if we want VROPS 2 to be the master, we'll select it. We'll select the Enable High Availability for this cluster checkbox. Then we'll click OK. As you can see, the cluster is being configured, but still the state and status columns report not running and offline for all three nodes. And that's because at this point vRealize Operations is still not started. So we'll give it a few more moments to complete the configuration here, and what we're going to do in a few moments is to click on the Start vRealize Operations Manager button here. Now that the button has ungrayed, we can click Start vRealize Operations Manager and the cluster will start. We'll click Yes to continue. And again, as the message just pointed out, it can take a few minutes for the cluster to be fully up and running, but as we wait for this cluster to be completely initialized, we'll simply review what we've done so far. We began by deploying a master node by deploying from an OVF file. We then configured the master. We then deployed two additional data nodes and configured each of those. At that point, we then connected into the admin interface, and here in the system status section, we enabled high availability. As we did so, we promoted one of the data nodes to the master replica mode, and we then clicked on the Start vRealize Operations Manager button in order to actually start the cluster. And that's what we're witnessing right now. The cluster is still starting. Again, this can take a few minutes for it to complete, so we'll accelerate the video. As you can see, vRealize Operations now reports that the cluster is running. This concludes our demonstration.